Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics round review. We are live this time, post round 3, obviously with the double game weeks on. We're going to be doing some live round reviews and previews for the next 4 weeks. We've only got a couple of days until we've got our next round of footy. So it's going to be it's great for us as footy lovers, but maybe for the AFLW players, it's still probably a bit too much footy for them. But we'll review the round and chat a few things how the double game weeks. But I'm your host, Bails, and you can find me at Bails DT across the socials. And if you are joining live and you would like a question answered or a play you want discussed, put it in the live chat on YouTube, and we'll get to as many questions as we can sort of towards the end. But joining me is my fellow co-host and AFLW Fantasy Fanatic, is Jaiden Poposky. Jaiden, mate, how are you? Do you have another good weekend of footy?
Hey, Bails. Yeah, nice to be here. It's going to be pretty hectic 4 weeks, but yeah, it's good to get on and chat now and try and figure things out before Tuesday. Yeah, not a bad weekend of footy, but fantasy-wise, like probably the worst round I've ever had in any. I don't even know what went wrong. Like it's that bad.
Okay, that's not too good. Well, I guess the positive thing is with the double game weeks around the corner, at least you don't have to wait too long to put this round in the rearview mirror, and you can go straight into the next one. But in saying that, let us know. Tell us why it wasn't a great round for you. Let us know what your score is. Obviously, the final game I don't think's fully updated yet, but let us know your score, current score, round rank, and overall rank for the round.
So I don't even know how this is possible. I've scored 1126. So that's put me from 600th down to outside 2.2 thousand. I was genuinely thinking that Marinoff's VC wasn't counting. Like that's how bad it is. So yeah, it's terrible.
What happened? What is there? Like play? Like did you really miss any big players, or was there any donuts, or what?
Yeah.
What
so
happened?
The issue is I traded in Huntington late out and no cover. So there's a donut, but I don't think the donut is worth 150 points. So the other issues were like, I only had 2 scores over like 77, really. I think like quite a lot of people have Riddell, so that kind of hurt. I'm genuinely not sure. Like I was actually adding up over and over to see if Marinoff's score was actually counting. I don't know what went wrong, but I guess like Slasher, Finn, Hosking, Window, all pretty bad. Yeah, and Pauga was my only cover, like in the forward line, so I had a donut. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's surprising. I didn't have Riddell either, but it turns out I've clearly had an okay round. So I ended up scoring actually, what was your round? What do you know what your round rank was? That would be, I guess, interesting.
Well, it doesn't come up yet because it's not over, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, I scored a 1256, which put me up 98 spots to 404. And like most of the players did okay. There were a number of players where they didn't quite do what I was hoping for, and was hoping for a little bit more. Like so, trading in an Ali Anderson this week and paid 1.5 million for a 77, which isn't great, considering I could have gone to Ash Riddell and got a 145, but obviously playing that sort of the longer game, and obviously Ali Anderson plays the 2 games this week. At the end, they can always go Herta Riddell in round 5 or Herta Garner, whichever. If I don't decide to grab one of those North mids this week there. But the Olish O'Dowd move on field was pretty good, 68. I'll take that. I traded out Jess Allen, who scored, I think, 61, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around that 60-odd range. So considering I got around the same points and banked like a whole heap of cash, it would have been good if I went Fiedler on the bench instead. Would have got a little bit of cash gen on the bench there, but I just thought that getting Lily Pearce there for the red dot just through these double game weeks was probably the more beneficial way. And plus as well, when people said, you should just get Fiedler and get cash, it was like 4:34 my time, and it was like 1 minute before the game started, and I thought, well, they do a hard lock at like as soon as it hits 35 past or 5 past 5 for Eastern States, it locks out. So I thought, no, I'm not going to reverse it, because if I can't, I won't be able to get Anderson in and whatever. So I just left it. So but yeah, so in +3 -3, Jaiden, who are you going to give that to this week?
Oh, well, the +3 just has to go to Rowbottom again. She's got a bit of attention tonight. 134. I nearly captained her, but not just got a few points in the last few moments. So I'll go Rowbottom +3. I guess the -3 is probably. I mean, I didn't start off well because I have 7 players set up for the double already, and they combined for about 420 between the 7 of them. So, and they were priced at like 520 or so, or 540. I think they priced that. So combined, they went 100 points under what they were priced at. So that's where it started off. Pretty much, I think Bonici probably is the big killer with only 60.
Yeah. Well, both her and Ali Henderson were players that a lot of people were jumping on this week, obviously with the double here. But as we said on Friday, it looks like Ella Roberts and Ali Drennan were the answer for if you were going to go early, because they obviously both went quite big. So, but my +3 and -3, I'm going to be giving my +3 to, well, because you took Rowbottom, I'll go my only other player that actually. So it's funny because I went up, but I only had the 2 scores above 90 this week, and they were coming from, at least they came from my 2 expensive players in Rowbottom, who you gave it to, and I'll give it to Noffy again. She's just going to get it back to back just with the 131 again. This is a part of me doesn't really want to give it to Noff again just because she keeps getting it, but when you score 131, it's just I just think I've got to go with her again. But shout out to like a Katie Brennan, who scored like an 85, and like a Goody and a Tripodi, who for rookies scored pretty well in their position. So, but -3, most of the defense actually did, like the forwards did their job. Pounger was the only one that went under 63 in the forward line. Midfielders, like I could give it to Ali Anderson with a 77 when I paid them, but I guess I got her for the double, so I'm not as sort of harsh on her. I think I've got to give it to Ruby Slisher. We started with her. Obviously, she's underpriced, good option. Had the first double, everything like that. And we thought, yep, she's probably a season-long keep. But back-to-back, what was it, 56s and then a 39 this week. I know it was against Brisbane, but unless I see something from this double game week, some better scoring, which you'd think against West Coast and the Bulldogs, there's a chance that she goes well in. Wait, is it? No, hang on. It's West Coast and someone else, isn't it? Have they got someone else this week? I don't know if they've got West Coast and Bulldogs, or maybe they do. Let me have a quick look. Week 4, they've got West Coast, then they've got Bulldog. Okay, I was correct. Yeah, with those 2 matchups, I'd like to think she scores better, but we will see what happens there. So, but in terms of quickly go through with the Content Creators Cup on the AFLW, so obviously there's any late adjustments, but I think most of the games were sort of fairly settled. A few blowouts here as well. So I unfortunately went down to JS from Sliding Doors, 12.56 to 12.89 there. So disappointing 33-point loss. Mel had a great week. She was the top scoring coach out of all the content creators. So I remember she commented on our post saying about me and Will holding down the bottom of the ladder, but she was the best coach this week. 13.07 defeated Eloise there, 12.62. Jackson from Sliding Doors, 12.96 to Mitch, 11.88. So there you go. So Jackson and JS actually had different scores this week for the first time this season, not copying each other still. Jaiden, unfortunately, with obviously you were saying a bad week, Jono ended up being the second highest coach, and you can't be against him, 11.26 to 12.91. And then Liam got the job done over his fellow co-host, Will, who congrats for getting married as well on the weekend, Will. So hopefully it was a great day and enjoy the honeymoon, mate. He scored 11.53, so Liam getting the job done there. The ladder hasn't updated, obviously, with the site still going through that. In terms of the top 100 coaches and how many of them are in our AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Open League, I'm just getting all of the coaches up there. Just see Matty Mottram there, currently 46th overall, so he's obviously going along very, very nicely there. I'm up to there we go. So 100. So top 100 coaches, it's got here. What's that? 3996 is the score that you need to be in the top 100. So 3996. I probably should have done this for the pod, but this is what happens when we're doing it live straight after. Okay, well, our Open League has not updated yet, so we'll see potentially later on when that happens. Alrighty, well, let's get sort of stuck in to a few scores quickly before we go through some trade targets and talk about the double game weeks coming up. But so we started all the way on Friday night. Thursday night we really covered in the Friday preview. So if you want to just check out our recap of that, then head back to our preview show and we chat the first game. So just for time, we'll sort of move on from the game there. But the first game on the Friday, so Brisbane and Collingwood. Brisbane comfortably winning by 52 points there. First one I want to ask you about, Jane, is Bree Davey. So 110. Any consideration for you potentially? You got Benici, but any consideration with the double game week coming up after a good score?
Yeah, it would have been nice because they're fairly similar in price. Like Davey's on the way down, and she's kind of had only a 60 coming back from injury. But yeah, she's a good option for people who still need another mid. Because she's got the two good matchups, and she definitely has the ceiling we've seen before compared to a lot of other Collingwood players in the past few years. So I really like her as an option, and you should get a bit of reward at her price. And I'm imagining her break even will be not too bad, coming off a 110. And yeah, she was the second most used midfielder at centre bounces. So she's definitely playing at her best now again.
Yep. Yeah. No, there's someone that I've sort of got potentially looking at this week. It'll be one of her Benici. It could actually be just a case of whoever's cheap who I'm going for. So I might be going one of those mid rookies up to get one of them because I'm a bit nervous about the Port Girls against North Melbourne. That could be a bit of a tougher day there. And even like Mattea Breed hasn't been as good as what she was week one. So I might not be comfortable playing any of them on double game week. So it might be just getting the cheapest one there. Just some other. This was actually quite a low scoring game. Like you had Ellinger and Grider who both went well, 98-97. Even Grace Campbell, 17 tackles is massive there. But a lot of them underperformed this game. Like Ali Anderson only got the 77, got a bit of a tag from. Bit of a team tag. It's a bit of like a Michaela Can went to her at times. Bree Davey went to her. Britt Benici was the one that was following her quite close in the second half out of anyone. So a bit of a team tag there. I expect her to, if she plays both games this week, her to bounce back and have a pretty good week there. Then Courtney Hodder was pretty good, 63. Obviously better score than what she had done the first few weeks. Obviously Benici was quiet with just the 60 there. You're not too concerned. Obviously, Jane, you own her, but for those people that were looking at her, you wouldn't be too concerned with that score. You'd still be looking at the fact that they've got Bulldogs and West Coast in their double.
Yeah, I think you still can go for Benici, but I'd probably reconsider across the board all the options you've got to look at because there's quite a few around that price. Like you've got Pritchard, some of the Eagles girls, they're all around that similar price. But you do need to, obviously think about that Brisbane and Collingwood get to play against Dogs and the Eagles and vice versa. So I'd probably expect we saw some better scores in the Dogs and Eagles game because they give up some points. And then this game that we're talking about now is pretty low scoring because Brisbane are just a horrible matchup for any team. And Collingwood got smashed. So I think you can still try and look ahead and be like, okay, what's going to happen in these next two games? Collingwood didn't score many at all, and you'd hope that they'd get a win on the board against Bulldogs at least. And if they do against West Coast, then Benici and Davey are going to do a lot of that heavy lifting. Yeah,
exactly. And then, obviously we mentioned before, Ruby Slisher only 39 and Geordie Allen as well, 38. So both are low scores, but I'm still not as I know a few people are a bit frustrated at Slisher. I gave her the -3, but I'm still optimistic that she can put up a couple of good scores in this double game week. And I'm still don't know if I'm trading her necessarily. Maybe in a Bolter format, for example, people might look at trading because we only have the one game, not two in Bolter. So maybe they look at that, but I'm still optimistic she can put up a couple of good scores and we may be looking at keeping her there. And then Carly Ramos as well also went pretty well with a 47. So if you jumped on her, she could be someone double game week. If you can't get anyone, maybe you bring her in as your M5 for the 1 week and get the 2 scores there. That's potentially something you can look at. But yeah, Sabrina Frederick, probably the disappointing one out of this game. Had a lot of hit outs, but only the 6 touches, 1 mark, 1 tackle. 39 points. Again, Brisbane, tough matchup. Taylor Hickey and Taylor Smith / Eleanor Hartill. I think it's more Hartill on Friday night. So a bit of a tougher game. So I expect to bounce back. Don't know if I'd be trading. Unless you have an O'Dowd, and you might think about doing that. Move on to the Sydney and Richmond game. So Richmond by 46 points there at Coffs Harbour there. Laura Gardner, only player over 86, scored the 108. So she's going to be a prime target for all of us to be getting in round 6, or potentially in round 5 if people are going there. But I think we've probably got a few other targets on round 5. Round 6, so Gardner, great target. Poppy Kelly, she probably was the pick of the cheap rucks. And if it wasn't for the Tamara Luke sort of late pickup, because I thought she might have actually played a bit earlier, I probably would have gone her over Jess Allen to save the 100K. But anyone that went there, though, Poppy Kelly, great pick. Katie Brennan, 85. Good to see a good score from Katie Brennan there. Kicked all her goals in the first quarter, but still was able to get to a good score. Ellie McKenzie was also really good. Mon Conti, as a person that traded her out, I didn't watch this game because I just couldn't bear myself to watch it, not owning Conti. But seeing her on, I think it was 44 at 3/4 time, I thought, well, okay, if she can score a 60, she'll not only drop in cash for both me and you, Jade, to pick her back up in round 5. It'll also be good because we get some extra points. But she had a really good last quarter and got to 75, which a lot of actually midfield premiums actually went around that 60 to 85 range. So it actually didn't actually turn it to be too bad of a score. Lucy McAvoy was well, good with a 66. Isla Sheeran had low game time, but still scored well. I think she's going to be a really good target for us in round 5 when she is on her double game week as well. Harley Bullis had a decent score if you've got her with a 53. That was probably it from and Ella Heads only scored a 20, so probably just someone to put down as a round 6 potential target that might drop it. Well, it's going to drop a lot in cash, so someone to look at there. But anyone, Jan, you want to touch on from that game?
Yeah, Conti was very frustrating because I also traded. She had much lower time on ground with the tag. I thought it would be Kennedy, but it was actually Bullets who spent most of the time on her.
Yeah.
And they were doing, really well. But then, like you said, she's on 44 or something at 3/4 time. I was actually watching her score because I was in the car and I was sitting there watching the score. And she so there's about 5 minutes left, and her and Brennan were on the bench, and I was like, okay, I don't own any of these guys. Hopefully they can just, sit on the bench, stay off. Conti was on 57 at the time. So I was thinking, this is amazing. She's going to lose 200 grand. I'm going to be able to get her back this week straight away for the Carlton matchup. She comes back on and scores 18 points in about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
2
straight
plus
back
6
to the bench.
It was 2 plus 6s back to back. She got I was like, okay, first plus 6 she got open, and then she sprinted and got into a bit of open. So it's a great kick. It might have been Kate Dempsey that kicked it into her, and she got another plus 6. I'm like, come on. I was like, that plus 12 was massive. I think you said in our group chat, it's like 100K essentially. You're just being wiped off in that last 5 minutes. So it's a decent amount of cash. When you're looking at
it's so hard to watch. Just 18 points in 2 minutes, and then she went back to the bench. That, the audacity.
What was the point?
The bench rotation. Come on, that was so close to happening. It was probably where my weekend really went. Okay, that's just not happening for me.
Yeah, unfortunately there. Next game we'll go to very wet. I don't know what to call this game. Geelong and Carlton. It was wet, then it was sunshine, then it was teeming down with rain. I think they said hail at times. We went back to sunshine again. I think it's just typical Melbourne day, as a lot of people in Melbourne would say. They get 4 seasons in the one day. But Carlton with a big talking point from this game with 24-point winners over Geelong. Geelong goalless, 5 behinds there. The Carlton's 29, so 4-5-29. But Maddie Guerin, Guerin, I should say, because now I've got Kelly Underwood's way of saying Guerin. Guerin. Maddie Guerin, very, very good performance, 116. She's probably out of reach in official. But if you started with that, it's a great pick. Ben, you mentioned this on Friday, Jane. This is the thing about official. You've got to nail the picks the week of when they go big. And if you somehow brought Maddie Guerin in this week, you would be laughing. 116, you get it on field, great. But if you didn't, we've missed her. She's going to be well in excess of probably 600-700K. We've probably missed that. So she had a double game week. Could be a different story, but because she doesn't, But no, great score from her. Then the other Carlton mids, Abby Mackay, 109, Mimi Hill, 103, even Achilles Shearer got a 92 as well. there. Amy McDonald with an 86. I know Mitch brought her in this week and would have expected a little bit more in the Carlton matchup, but with Carlton dominating the game, didn't really leave much else for Geelong mids. Beck Webster was good with an 80, playing off half-back, had a few CBAs there. Chartel Emerson also was decent with a 68. Zali Friswell, and I'll put Erin Dana in the same boat. So Friswell only got the 48, Finn only got the 38. I wouldn't be too worried about that. People that might look at that and go, that's a bit worrying. The ball was just, because it was so wet, it was just stuck on one side, and it was stuck on the opposite side of Friswell and Finn for pretty much 2.5, 3 quarters of the game. So Finn really didn't have a chance, and same with Friswell, didn't have a chance to score. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I wouldn't be trading either. Finn could be benched if you'd play a shilling this week on a double game week, but I wouldn't be looking at trading her out or anything like that. Karen Peterson as well just scored the 38 points as well. And Meg McDonald, who's someone just keep an eye on. She's going to be near basement as a defender. Could be someone that we look at as just putting as our D6 and leaving there. So someone to potentially consider there. Couple of lower scores as well. Adam McDonald, 34. Vesio, 32. Lulu Beattie, 31. Gab Pound, 26. So, yeah, some lower scores there. Anyone you want to touch on there, Jaiden?
No, I think you got it. Those wings just stuck out there. Guerin actually had the most centre bounces for Carlton, which is a bit of a surprise because she was about third in line.
She was really good.
She was about third in line previously, but yeah, 88%.
Yeah, she was very, very good. So, moving on to the Port Adelaide and Freo game, with Freo getting the job done by 8 points. I'm still kicking myself. I changed my tip before the game. I thought Port at home, but it was a good game. Freo getting the job done in the end. And Ash McCarthy, probably the big story was actually a few late changes this week. You mentioned the Izzy Huntington one in the last game, and Ash McCarthy in this game was laid out with knee soreness. So it would be so good to have this update trade feature. People be able to bring people in, because a lot of people either would bring Huntington in, or they were potentially could have traded Nash McCarthy out instead of a Conti, for example. Or actually, you couldn't update it because Conti replayed. But the point is, if we had an update trade thing, it would have been a lot easier. But from this game, Mim Strom, 130. I think, Jaiden, she's probably just I know that Sabrina Frederick has been good the first few weeks, but is Mim Strom your R1 moving forward, and she's someone that you'll be looking at targeting sort of in a double or maybe a little bit down the line when Eilish O'Dowd is someone that you move on?
Yeah, and Freo's, I'm pretty sure they're the highest stoppage team. I looked it up the other day. So, yeah, you want that for a ruck. You don't want to muck around with other stuff. So I can see her being R1. The Port matchup is quite good, so she did make the most of that. But it just makes Edmonds last week even more frustrating because she didn't capitalise on it.
Yeah, no, very, very frustrating. But yeah, Mim Strom is filling all the stat lines, 9 tackles, 5 marks, a lot of hit outs, had the 18 touches. So yeah, I think she's the one that we do need. Hayley Miller was good with an 85 there. Then you also had Sinead Goody was very impressive, 74 with 5 marks, 5 tackles, 14 touches, kicked 2 behind, so could have been a little bit more. I'm convinced they probably missed 1 or 2 tackles from Goody on the weekend. Her tackling was impressive there on the wing, so she had a very good game there. Gabby Newton, 71, just a defender to keep an eye on. She's playing midfield at the moment, which has been really impressive from her, so someone potentially to look at. Gabby O'Sullivan was good with a 67 there. On your tie was quiet, then just got really busy in the second half and scored the 63. So for non-owners wanting her to drop a bit to then bring her in, she's just a very, very good footballer. Matilda Schultz and Emma O'Driscoll both got the 61 there. Piper Window, 53. Wendland, 52. So it's still haven't lost out too much going Wendland over Piper Window there. I've been really nervous each week with Window when Window can just have these 2-3 minute patches where she'll rack up 15 to 20 points and then she'll go quiet or she'll be benched for a long time. So it's a bit frustrating if Window owners out there, especially if you played Window over like a Goody this week on field. Ash Saint was a bit quiet, even though she was around the ball a lot and it just sort of bounced the wrong way from her. So just a bit unfortunate there, but 35 for her. Brazil with the 33. And then Sachi Syme with the 27. She's been the disappointing one after that good week 1. And then Gemma Houghton with the 20 as well has been disappointing this year. So anyone else you want to touch on, Jaiden?
Gabby O'Sullivan is quite annoying. Like, I just feel so like I was just so annoying because I traded her like in week 1. She was like just playing a lockdown defender, not doing much, and now Freo have just like finally decide. She's like they've just put her everywhere. Like everywhere the ball goes, she's like gets on kick-ins, gets around the midfield like where they need it. Like they are struggling with all the outs they have this year, so she's kind of filling every role, and it just adds so much pain because I traded her to Sheriff. Sheriff was going well, got injured, and now I've traded Sheriff to Huntington, who's a laid out. So it's just like,
I'm sorry. I know for a fact that if that was me, I'd be like, I'd trade Ali Anderson for Conti, and she got a 77. I was already throwing the baby out the bath. Where I was like, this is bullshit. Officials in the mud. I'm not going to go well for this. But then I turned out to have not a bad week, and it was okay. And people that had some forced sort of bullets and laid outs of stuff, it sort of goes, you just fantasy. Yeah. Fantasy is a very interesting game. It swings in roundabouts. You can go from being on top of the world one week to hating life the next. So it is very, very interesting how fantasy works. But we'll move on to and actually just as well, Freo, obviously we're saying they're struggling in terms of like their mix and stuff, but they've won 2 of their first 3 games, which has been impressive considering there's no Bails and Stannett. So shout out to Freo for going pretty well when probably not many people thought they'd win too many games, but 2 wins from 3 is very good. And they only lost the Crows, which if you lost the Crows, sort of with the way they're playing, I don't think it's too bad. So shout out to Freo for starting the season pretty well. But we'll move on to the Crows there and continue on their merry way with another win against Hawthorn, who'd been good this year, 58-32. There's a 26-point win for the Crows. And shocker, Ebony Marinoff, top scoring player of the game, 131. And she probably went a bit quieter in the last quarter, to be fair. I think she only had like 19 points and no marks, no tails, which is unlike Marinoff. We normally think 30 points is almost a given on most quarters for her. But hey, 131 is just incredible. 147.7 average from her first 3 games, Jaiden. She was priced at 128. And I know that if Mitch is listening live or if Mitch is listening on the replay, he's going to be saying, Bales, just shut up about Marinoff. But we've got her 20 points unders. It's crazy that we've got her at value for the first 3 weeks.
Peak of the year, really. Like it's actually ridiculous. So I might cash in now. She's pretty close to I think she'll be like 1.9 over that. So I think I'll just cash in now, try and fix up the rest of my terrible team.
So that was the question I was actually going to lead into, is that few people have actually talked about this. I would have to, I don't know if I really could do this. Is there a consideration where you could trade Marinoff at 1.9 million and go down to even if it's just a Benici this week, and then it sets you up to maybe get a Garner or Riddell or someone in the following week? Is this a genuine play, or because it's all well and good that we get the cash this week, but then we've got to go bring it back in round 7, which is going to be a bit tricky. So what are your thoughts about trading Marinoff to cash up this week to get the double game week mids in?
Well, yeah, my thoughts are that I'm doing it, and because the thing is I'm not going to captain her, so I'm basically just thinking. Well, you can just trade. It's really easy to say because it probably won't work out, but you're trading Marinoff. Say if you're trading her to, I don't know, let's say Benici this week. Benici will be 1150. So you're pretty much getting $800,000 to fix up anywhere else, get another rookie off field, $800,000, and they should score the same overall. Yeah, even if Noff goes 160, even if she goes 160, Benici's got 2 cracks to get that much. And
she's got 2 great matchups as well.
Yeah, and the thing about Noff and why we all started her, why we wanted to, was she played 3 great matchups in a row to start the year. Freo, I don't know who it was in round 1.
Port Adelaide. She had Port, then she had Freo, then Hawthorn.
3 positive matchups in a row, especially the Freo one. Hawthorn's positive. And then next week, Essendon are red and Brisbane Lions are -10. We saw what happened to Benici against the Lions. Half to score from last week. So I'm pretty keen to do it.
And you'd imagine probably a Kathy Svark or someone goes to her because Anne Hatchard's it's a bit hard to tag because she plays forward so much.
Yeah, so I think I'm pretty set on doing it and try and I really have to now because I'm 2,220th. So it's not what I was planning, but
It's an interesting one because I've thought about if I was to go Marinoff bet, maybe just get one of those North girls and get them prepared for next week, and then go rookie up to Benici or something like that. But I don't know. I'd have to really look at it because I don't know. But then again, this is my heart. That's the heart of not wanting to trade at Marinoff. But the thing is, fantasy is not about heart. It's about who scores more points, and that's what I've got to think about. So definitely something that coaches could consider. And on the face of it, it is probably the play to cash in. But I think a lot of people be saying not going to trade Marinoff because how are we going to get her back? But anyway, some other scores in this game. Danielle Ponder scored 5 goals for 106, so she was fantastic everywhere in the game. Emily Bates scored a 102, so she was also very good. And Hatchard with an 87 as well. So I think she had a very quiet last quarter from memory. I think when I checked, she only had like 2 points last quarter. She only had 4 points in the last quarter, so probably saved a lot of people. She'll probably be obviously a bit cheap when it comes to a double game, but she's not going to rise up as much. So, but yes. Then we also had Maddie Newman, 66, Chelsea Randall, 66. Chelsea Randall got there late. I think she had a quieter first half, had a good second half there. Jess Allen with the 61 there. So she's still been a solid pick, but obviously that move to O'Dowd was a good one this week to gain points and money. And Matea Breed with a 38 as well. She's probably someone that you could cash in this week for some upgrades on field. Moving to the Melbourne and North Melbourne game with North Melbourne getting the job done by 50 points. Ash Riddell, 145, fantastic score. And she's got Port Adelaide this week. I think if anyone's going to be tagging anyone, it's going to be Marilyn Maloney, probably going to Jazz Garner. So Riddell could be left free to run right again. Jazz Garner obviously scored the 97 as well. Mia King, 117. So the North Mids getting in and amongst it. Emma Carney with a 77. Kate Horse, 75. Got there late with some good tackling. Alice O'Loughlin was good with a 70. Ruby Tripodi, Jaiden, she's been really, really good. Considering that she's played low game time most weeks, her game time in this game was still 57%, so not great, but her points per minute's crazy. She's almost been the forward pick of the year, you'd probably say.
Yeah, really great. And yeah, 44% centre bounces. Like, she's fourth in line, but that's completely fine because like fourth in line is still quite good. And they don't run anyone else through there at all. Like, it's just them four, the Riddell, Garner, King, and then Tripodi. So like, she gets on, gets the ball, plays midfield, and then goes to the bench. So like, as a forward pick, can't really get much better apart from the time on ground. But yeah, we're not really expecting her to play or be in the midfield ahead of one of those. So yeah, it's quite a great pick, and she's scoring well. So yeah, keep.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Like you'd much rather take 57% game time playing pure midfield than 80% playing like in the forward line and just stuck in the forward line. Like, I guess maybe North Melbourne, maybe forward line's not too bad, but definitely rather this midfield role that she's playing. So she's been fantastic, and she's got obviously this week she's got Port Adelaide, good matchup there, and then she's got her double game week the week after. So there's a case where, depending on what she does in the 3 weeks, we never know, we might not actually trade her because there's not many forwards that are putting their hand up saying to bring them in. But she's going to be at a really good price where it could even be a downgrade to get to a forward that you want on a double, or even just a sideways switch to even a Friswell or a Chelsea Randall or something like that. So no, she's going along very, very nicely. Sinead Goldrick, 53. It was looking very, very good, but she had a 2-point last quarter. So that was, not great. Gave a couple of free kicks away, but she's also been a very good pick. And if 53 is going to be a worse scorer, North Melbourne, tough matchup. So she's going pretty well and been a good pick for owners this season. Moving to the last 2 games here. So the Essendon and St Kilda game with 8-point winners to St Kilda. Steph Wales, 115. She dominated the duo of Fiedler and was it Nolda this week? No, Renee Karras, because Ronaldo got dropped. So Steph Wales, good score. Jane Serene Watson, 96. I haven't owned her. I'm probably glad I didn't, because if I did, I would have traded her this week. Again, fantasy, funny game. People traded. A lot of people traded this week to upgrade. Could you bring it back in after a good game, or is it just putting it down to just a good game and it's probably going to be a bit lower than that? Well, it's obviously going to be lower than that, but what are your thoughts with Serene Watson?
So I'm not massively surprised. I mean, it's not like I would have brought her in, but like, this is the thing about this Saints backline. Like, there's one of them that can go really well, or they did kind of play a bit more on their terms in this game. But yeah, I guess overall, like one of them's going to go well. But like I've said it a lot of times, that system is not set up for like someone to consistently be that top scorer. So she's been the benefit this time, like she was in the preseason. You could do it as a money-making play. But yeah, overall, I think like this is one of the things, like if this was in the men's format, you would get on her because you get her price rise over the next 5 weeks. But like with how quickly the prices move in this, she's she's pretty much made a lot of that money already. Just from this week going amazing, like you're kind of getting closer to paying for what she's probably going to do anyway. So you could do it as a money play, but you have to do it this week.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, low scoring game, obviously this one besides those two, but like Nan scoring 83, Presparka 79. Then you had a Maddie Gay got a 62. She was looking like having a really bad score, but got there late. A Fiedler scored 53. How much will she rise roughly, Jaiden? Because this is probably what I'm keen to know as someone that didn't jump on her.
Well, I'll just, I don't have it, but I can work it out right now.
Probably like 100 and something K, I would imagine, with a 53.
53. And then, so she'll be about 385.
Okay, so only 85K. Could you bring her in? Is that someone that you could look at targeting, bringing in as like even if someone brought in a red dot last week, could they bring them in at utility and then they've got playing ruck as cover and then they've got the red dot utility to sort of loop, and you could almost loop between Fiedler and O'Dowd if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to do it with my utility spot. I've got Edmund still, so I need to keep her for this week and then trade her out after that. So if I bring in Fiedler in the utility, then I can, I guess, put O'Dowd on field after that. So I think out of all the rookies, she's got the best role. So I'm pretty keen to like get her in. They won. She went okay, I think. She was getting interviewed after the match, so I guess they must have rated her a little bit. So, so I'm keen to get her in.
Yeah, she played 52% and Karras played 53%. So it's pretty much one was on the ground and one was off. So, but hey, if she's scoring a 50, if she's getting like she didn't have actually that many hit outs. She had the 15, I guess, which is not too bad for being on there. But it was her tackling that got her that good score. And as you said, good role. You never know. What if they made her the solo ruck? And if they dropped Renee Karras, for example, and they had someone else doing that, then that could be something to watch. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at something like that this week. Nikki Zenos just the 41 there. I'm still just waiting for that day that Nicola Zenos becomes an option for us as a forward that plays with his midfield time, but just the scoring's a bit up and down. She always tackles. It's just the touches and just the accumulation that's just not quite there yet. Hopefully at some point that will. Jessie Wardlaw, if anyone had her, just the 37 there. Gaylor 31. Williamson 28. Yeah, so a few of these rookies not going too well. Morecambe only the 15 there as well. So, and then the final game, the drawn game between Gold Coast and GWS. Obviously, great goal from Jamie Stanton at the end there. Good roost as well from a decent distance there. But yeah, Charlie Rowbottom, 42 disposals, almost equaled the record. But she equaled the second highest one with Riddell. Ali Anderson broke it last week. So Rowbottom is just a jet, 133. I think we all, if you don't have her, you need her at some point, probably not in the first few weeks with the double game weeks, but by round 6, you need her. So, yeah, she's someone that you're going to want to get on. Beck Beeson had a good game in the 118. There was actually a couple of late updates. I think Rowbottom lost 1 point there. O'Dowd got a 68, which obviously was fantastic for us to put her at R1, or if you already had her at R1. Elise Parker was disappointing with just a 63. Goldsworthy with a 61, got there with that late goal there. Then we had Daisy Darcy with a 56. I think she was quite quiet as well in the last quarter. I think she was on near 50, I think, from memory, Jaiden. I don't know if you remember that, but I think she didn't have a big last quarter, unfortunately.
Yeah, she was playing in defence, gave away a free.
-3.
So, yeah, didn't do a lot, but kind of saved the game with a match-winning spoil in the forward line.
Yeah.
Got the free kick. The
her
team
spoil
won the
led
free.
to the,
Yeah, so she was playing in defence. I mean, yeah, I brought her in Bolter. She looks okay still. I guess, like, the reason why I didn't go there in official was, like, her just playing the two easiest matchups to start the year. And now, it's not going to be that easy from now on. So, yeah, I didn't go there in official because I thought she was kind of priced at about what she would go. So hopefully she doesn't burn me too hard.
Yeah. I'm just seeing that as well because I saw Corey put that in the thing 6 frees against. Charlie Robotham gave away 6 free kicks. She scored a 133. Just imagine if that wasn't 6 frees against. It could have been absolutely huge. Few other scores from the game. Jack Tapai has been disappointing this year, just the 32 points. And Michaela Pounger, just the 33, unfortunately. I don't think she touched in last. I think she might have even had like -3 in last. No, she had 0 points in last quarter.
What did she have at quarter time?
Quarter time, I think she was on like near 20 from memory. Quarter time, yeah. She had 14 in the first quarter. Second quarter, she had 19. So she was on 33. She said, what's that 0 point? Yeah, 0 point second half. Didn't touch it in the statless in the third quarter, statless in the last quarter. That's
great.
Yeah, not too great. What was her time on ground like? Like her time on ground the last quarter, 63%. Her time on ground the third quarter was 84%. That's bad. It's probably hard, right, with the double game weeks, but if you could trade her out, Jaiden, is that something you'd be looking at, or do you think with the double game weeks it's still more important to get these mids of the scoring, obviously, in 2 games? Because I'm probably holding personally, just because there's other things I want to do with trades that I think will benefit more.
Yeah.
And maybe with a few injuries, does she, because I think P's got injured, I think Nicola Barr got injured, a few injuries, does she maybe go a few extra CBAs? I don't know.
Yeah, I just tried to see if they have uploaded those yet, but they haven't. The centre bounces, like that game only has just been kind of finalised, so it'll probably take a while to filter through to the data. I guess, there's probably a bit of opportunity there, but I guess that same opportunity was there in the second half, and she did score nothing. The role isn't amazing, and I think if you could find someone to get her to, then it's probably worth it. But yeah, it's hard in the forward line because you don't want to be using a trade when you're not 100% on it.
I felt last week was a good week to maybe upgrade her and bring someone in.
Yeah, well, it's tough because I kind of liked her against Gold Coast this week. Gold Coast have been giving up a fair few points recently. And GWS have been I think the highest disposable team so far because they just handball it every single time. But yeah, if you can find someone around that price, it could be a fresh rookie that's done okay, then I don't mind it. But you probably almost want to get her on, get that field spot fixed up because a lot of people have her on field. So I don't mind it. I traded her in Bolter. And I was absolutely scared at quarter time when she was looking like she was going to score an 85 or something. It's definitely a consideration. And I think you just have to be careful with the forward line and stuff because you don't want to be using trades too much if you haven't got your double games set up first.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I want to get a Benici or some of these players in this week. I then want to bring in Garner, Riddell, and potentially Conti back in round 5. It's really hard for me to look at upgrading in the next two. Round 6 is probably when I'll trade because round 6 is when I'm really only looking at Laura Gardner as bringing in. So then it's okay. But then again, that's a double game week. So maybe it's round 7. Maybe round 7's the week where you look at trading her out. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works there. But I'm probably just have to hold her, I reckon, for this point because there's not really any forward I want to, I guess, jump on right now and bring in. So hopefully she can turn around. Her first 2 quarters were good, but obviously her last 2 quarters were not great. But yeah, so that's it from the games. Obviously, with the cover late updates, I went down to 409, so just down the 5 spots. Did your overrank move much, Jaiden, with any late updates?
No, I scored exactly the same. So I think Pound got lost to, but Robot, somehow it worked out, so I got exactly the same score.
Yeah, cool. Beautiful. Alrighty, well, we do have one super chat, so I'll answer this. So from Tim Ashworth, thanks, mate. He says he's got $500K in the bank. What should he do with Blackburn, Pounger, Breed, and Goody? So obviously the first question, I haven't heard anything yet. Have you heard anything about Ellie Blackburn?
No. Fortunately, they play really early, so you're gonna find out. I think it just has to be a trade anyway. So you could probably
if she plays the first game, you probably hold, don't you? If she plays the first game.
Well, yeah, if she plays, then
I just don't. I said in a group chat, I'm like, she was commentating the Richmond Sydney game, so part of me is like, oh, is she commentating? Is that a good sign? But then, like Eloise is saying that maybe it's a bad sign because they didn't even ask her about it. So it's like, well, don't want to keep it under wraps. Like, we're going to know. Like, I don't know why you'd be keeping injury under wraps when it's going to be announced anyway. But I guess we'd maybe not want to, like, a bit like what happened with Kai Malloy. You don't want to let the team know until they've played. So I don't know. But if she plays, I'll be holding. But if she doesn't, I guess she's got to go. And then I feel like out of those, it's probably if you're trading 3 of those 4, you're keeping Goody, aren't you? Because Goody was good on the weekend.
Yeah. I don't mind, like, if you can get Pounger straight to, like, another rookie around that price. Like, you could even have a crack at McKee from the Bulldogs. Like, she's playing twice. You could probably do worse than that. And she, like, takes a little bit of ruck time in the forward line. So, I mean, the Dogs are probably going to get smashed, but you could do something like that. And then with the 500 grams, you could get Breed up to, another midfielder.
Ella Roberts, for example. She might be the cheapest.
Blackburn hurts a bit because you would lose a bit off that. But yeah, there's a lot of options from these teams around that price because it's really only Ali Anderson that's really expensive this week. Like, you could have a crack at even someone like Conway from the Lions or
Bree Davey. Obviously, we mentioned Benici. You've got like an Ali Drennan, who obviously was really good on the weekend with the big score. Pritchard as well. There's a few options there. Pritchard, you think if Blackburn is out, Pritchard will definitely take some of those points. So definitely someone that you could look at. So a few options there. But yeah, it's probably like Breed up, Pounger Blackburn sideways, and Pounger to potentially McKee. The only thing I'm not sure about McKee is just having a stuck on field post the double, because it's like then you'd have to use another trade after that. That's the only question mark. I guess if you can go like an Ella Smith on the bench to McKee and bench Pounger, that could be something. But very, very interesting times with AFLW Fantasy with the double game weeks, but we'll chat about those now with those. So I think trade targets is really going to be dominated by these players. There's not too many instances where you're not going a double game play. Obviously, there will be some, like if you get a rookie that if there's no risk on double, like a Fiedler we've mentioned before, could be a good option to get some cash. Like I might go like someone like a Breed or whatever down to her to cash up there. But I guess we'll just quickly go through the teams. And so like Brisbane, Ali Anderson is an obvious one. Like a couple of great matchups. Who else in Brisbane do you like as trade targets this week?
Yeah, Conway played pretty well. I think she slowed up a bit towards the end, but that's just an out-and-out winger. So you kind of know what you're getting with that. But yeah, it's only if you kind of don't have enough cash. I don't mind Grider as well, but the ball's probably not going to be in defence as much. And she played amazingly well against Collingwood for a 97. So you could bank on her not being that great as what she was. I also really like Taylor Smith as a forward. Like, she scored 76 on the weekend, 3 goals, and definitely like a fairly targeted key forward. So against the Dogs and West Coast, like, you can have a look there. If you are a bit cash strapped in the forward line, it's probably going to be like 620K maybe.
Pounger should be that one.
Yeah.
You get Pounger to Taylor Smith.
So you can have a look there, and like, she's only 570 at the moment, but she'll go up a bit. So like, if you play that and like use the 2 price rises to make the most of the break even, then you could instantly swap her out after that. So I really like her as a player as well.
What about Jade Ellinger? So she was good, 98, playing in defence and a little bit on the wing as well. She's 747, should go up a bit. Could that be something you ride as a double cash rise, or do you think because it's a mid, you don't know if you go there?
Yeah, it's difficult because like, you'd want to be pretty confident in her role, and she doesn't have a role that really makes sense in the midfield positions. Like if she had defender status, or she only really played wing recently. So yeah, if she had a different position, then it'd be a great option. But I feel like you do need to be careful in the mids with the roles you're kind of picking.
Yeah, exactly. I think Courtney Hodder's still a good target. She's dropped a bit. 56 against North, 43 against Melbourne, and that Melbourne was quite a hot day as well. But 63 against Collingwood. Obviously, her tackles were up, I think, with the two matchups, West Coast and Bulldogs. So, no, is it West Coast and Bulldogs? Is that who they play? Because I know that Collingwood do Brisbane play both them as well this week, or they play someone else? Let me have a quick look at who Brisbane have got. So they've got the Bulldogs, and then they've got, they do have West Coast. Okay, so yeah, Brisbane, Collingwood, it would make sense with the double game week. So yeah, with the two good matchups, I think that Courtney Hodder could be a good option and kick a few goals there as well. And Eleanor Hartill's probably the downgrade option. She'll be over 380 now. She'll be probably in the 450s or somewhere around there. But with a double price rise, maybe you could look at that if you want to go someone a bit different here as well. And who knows? Maybe someone wants to go all the way down to a Kate Lutkins who plays two games, but you might be lucky to get 30 or 40 points from the two combined games. So I don't know if I'd be doing that there. We'll move to Collingwood. So I don't know. I don't know if Frederick. I don't think we could bring in Frederick because she'll drop a lot in cash. She's expensive. I guess a lot of us have got to know Dowd, but Benici and Davey, obviously the two. Davey will rise a bit. Benici will drop. So Davey might be more expensive now, funny enough, after that. So is it, if Benici's cheaper, do you just go the cheaper one, or do you think there's a case we made you could go Bree Davey over Benici? Who'd you pick out the two?
I'd almost have a crack at Davey. Like, she would be lowly owned because she missed round one. And like 4%. You can kind of just ride the bit, like you've kind of missed the 110, but she could do that again and kind of ride the price. Like Benici has stunted all the cash from the 120 that she scored 2 weeks ago against the Hawks. So you could have a crack at it just for the cash, because you do need to still consider like how you're making cash to get these other premium mids. Like you don't want to be trading in mids that are on the way down, which is ironic because that's what I've done. But you don't want to be trading in ones that are on the way down, because you're going to want to sideways them straight away. Like if you're bringing in Davey, it's going to be with the 1 week play. So you could probably just go Davey to Davey and Benici are practically the same. Like there's not much between them. So you could just ride a bit of price, get a bit of extra money, and yeah.
I actually really like that thinking. That's probably swayed me with my trades because I was going to bring one in. So I think that's probably swayed me getting Bree Davey. But no, I like the thinking there. And I feel like as well, in these matchups against West Coast and Bulldogs, you feel like Bree Davey could just go absolutely nuts in these matchups, because like they're not going to use it like a backer or something to tag a Bree Davey. Bree Davey's too big and strong to be tagged by someone like that. And then even like the Bulldogs, if Blackburn's to miss, I feel like Bree Davey could have a couple of bigs. We saw what she did against Melbourne in round one last year, and she's now had 2 games under her belt. Her game time has looked pretty strong. Like Benici's was low on the weekend with just a 73, whereas even like Bree Davies has been in the 81 and 84%. So I like it. I think Bree Davies is a good option. I don't. Is Ruby Slicer? She's probably not a target. I don't think, because she's probably dropping, but I'd imagine you agree she's probably a hold for those owners that have got her because she plays the double, and along with Geordie Allen, you'd be holding these two.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to now. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of options in defence this week.
Agreed.
So
except
you can
Charlie Thomas, maybe about the only one.
Yeah, so you can probably just hold them. I don't know, like, because you do still have to weigh up the cost. Like if she comes out and scores 40 again for 2 weeks, like she's just going to continue to drop twice. So it's really only a money related thing. Like if you think she's not going to do that amazing, but yeah, you can pretty much trade it to anyone. Like everyone's got that double coming up, but you'd want it to be a keeper. So you could do that if you needed to, but I think you can just have a crack. Pretty highly owned still, so nothing to lose really. Trade her out next week.
Yeah. Grace Campbell, any thoughts as a forward? 680. She'll obviously rise a bit this week, but 2 good matchups. She tackles. Is there any consideration from you as a forward potentially for a double?
Yeah, well, 17 tackles is amazing, but she's basically like she was amazing in the preseason game. So like if you saw my like preseason hype team from the start of the year, she was there. So was Alice O'Loughlin actually. So like all these forwards, this is where they've come from in the preseason.
3.92% listen to you.
Yeah, Campbell attended 41% centre bounces this week. So I don't really know where the kind of distribution came from. I think just like everyone kind of shared it around a bit more. So she was, fourth in line there behind Benici, Davey and Can. So
17 tackles, that's ridiculous.
So she's kind of got that bit of midfield boost as well, and she's scored higher each week. So there's a bit of a boost there. She's kind of pretty expensive though, like overall. Like if she was like a kind of a rookie player coming through, then it'd be amazing. But like she's been around for a while now, so she's expensive, but you could just ride it, I guess.
Yeah, if you get like a pounder or something up to her, that could be something that you consider. But yeah, I think that it's going to be to a point where she will be expensive. But you do have like Eliza James got a 50 on the weekend. Like she's cheap in the forward line there. You've also got like an Imogen Barnett, who you'd probably prefer at 490. She'll obviously go up in price. She got a 62, then a 41 to 40 before that. So she's been, obviously 40's been a flaw and she's making cash. She's playing that backup ruck role to Sabrina Frederick. So she could be someone that you consider if that's the best you get to on a double game week. But yeah, he's obviously when you probably want to be taking not as many punts, I guess, with the double game weeks because it's cash gen's key. But if you nail one, then that could be something that sets you on your way. Our final two teams we'll touch on as well with West Coast and the Bulldogs. So with West Coast, I don't think, obviously, we're not taking Emma Swanson just with we don't know what role she's playing. She's not scoring well, so obviously she's expensive. Ella Roberts was very good on the weekend with a 106. She's obviously got she's got Collingwood and Brisbane. What are your thoughts on Ella Roberts as a target? She'll be over $1 million now, but she's not going to go up a great deal because she dropped the 55 the week before, but because she got the 100, she'll now be on the way back up. So where would you put her in terms of a Bree Davey and a Benici and a Roberts? Where would you sort of have, you probably said Davey first and Benici, where would Ella Roberts sit in with those two?
I find it really hard to like rate these teams because they're coming up against like two restrictive teams and they've just like, these scores look really good, but they played each other and now it's the same as with the Brisbane and Collingwood game, like the lowest scoring overall. Like it's because they played against each other and now they get to swap over and play against the two easy ones versus the two hard teams. So I find it really hard to look at these options on these teams and go, I'm confident they can beat the other ones because like it's pretty much down to Brisbane. And like we saw it with Benici, like Brisbane are just really, really hard for mids. They were really hard last year. And it's like the hardest matchup in the comp across any position. So I find it really difficult to want to trade in these teams. I think I guess Roberts is an option. She had 50% centre bounces. So yeah, not bad.
She played really well on the weekend. She might get if there's any going to be tags from Brisbane or Collingwood, they're going to be going to Ella Roberts. So that's probably the only flag for me.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of depth in these midfields. Like you could go for a Pritchard as well. Like she's had an amazing role and she's looked really good. But yeah, I find it difficult to think that she can go really well because we've got like two teams they're playing against two teams that both tag and like she could just cop both of those if Blackburn's out also.
Good shout. Obviously Charlie Thomas, great target. We all know that. Obviously she could go well again. So if you can get up to her, that would be a good target. Ali Drennan could be. Would you prefer Roberts or do you think? Because Drennan the week before scored a 34, right? But then she went 134. Is she an option over Roberts, or do you think you'd still be going with Ella Roberts for a bit more safety?
Difficult. Drennan, I haven't really seen much of, I guess, what she's done, but like she only was in 15% of centre bounces last week, and then she was the number one this week at 75. So bit of inconsistency there. I'm not sure if Harkin didn't play. Swanson didn't even go to the centre bounces at all, which is interesting.
It was Backer was obviously your tag in Blackburn, so
there's a lot of taggers in these teams, and I cop the brunt of it because I have 7 players from these teams already. So I think it's really difficult to look at these two teams and go, because we all trade on based on what they scored last week, but West Coast and Bulldogs played each other, and then so did Brisbane and Collingwood. So overall, I'm pretty much keen to go on the Brisbane and Collingwood side because they're playing against Eagles and Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Bree Davian and Britt Benici, I'd almost double up on those two, and Ali Anderson if you didn't have her, and maybe give the Eagles mids and misses because again we saw last week Ali Drennan didn't have many CBAs, then all of a sudden she's number one. Swanson didn't have any this week but had some last week. Roberts had 50-50. We don't know. Roberts might get tagged as well, so I'll probably agree we'll look at the other two. But if Roberts is the cheapest out of Davey, Benici and herself, and you can only get to Roberts, then obviously I'd still don't mind if she plays the 2 games in the week. There's a few options as well that people could consider that have got the two. So Michaela West as a forward's been decent. She's got back-to-back 50s as a forward. Might be able to get double price rise from her there. Best Schilling might be a bit too expensive now just because she's gone 22 and 39 in her 2 games, but 68 against the Bombers. She could go better against the tougher teams because the Richmond game they dominated. Essendon, obviously they were better, and that was where Schilling went well. So you'd imagine that Schilling against Brisbane and Collingwood could actually go decent. But I don't know if you bring her in, it should be probably somewhere in the 500 or maybe over 500K. Then you've got a backer, San backer as well. She'll be around the 400K mark, a cheaper mid that gets double price rise. And then Octavia Di Donato is probably the downgrade if you want. She scored 48 on debut, defender 300K. So you could look at maybe someone like her. But I guess the final question before we move on from West Coast, Jaiden, is Jess Hosking. If anyone's held on to this, the decision is she's got 2 games in a week. You can trade her out. She's probably not going to score great, but she's got the ability to. Would you hold in the hope that she can put together maybe one score of a 60 and maybe score 100 points combined in the 2 games? Obviously, it's asking a bit considering the last 2 games. Would you hold her just because she's got double and then move on the week after, cop a little bit of a price drop if that's what happens? Or do you think you just have to move on because the role's just not great?
Yeah, the role's never been great, and that's what's frustrating to own. I should have traded her out, but I'm considering it with the 3 trades, but I do also want to be sure that I can get Garner, Riddell next week, and even Conti back maybe. So I'm not sure if I'll be doing it. I think, because if I'm trading into someone else, I don't think it would be someone on this double round. I think I would probably trade her to, maybe Daisy Darcy or someone like that. Try and get a keeper for the rest of the year. But the issue is Hosking could outscore them this week. As a combination, I need to make up points.
Well, she got what, the 43 this week. We did only see that some of the premiums got 50s and 60s this week. Like Goldrick, who have been happy, got a 53. Darcy got a 55. I know that they had bad last quarters and whatever, but I'm sort of thinking, well, I'll probably hold her this week. She's got 2 games, so you've got 2 cracks at it. She might drop a bit in cash if she has 60 points combined for the week, but she's not going to go down to 400K. She'll probably still be over 600 or 550, maybe at worst. And you've got better defenders in round 5. That's the week where you've got Emma Carney and Ola Sheeran on their double. So you think they're good targets. And even in round 6, if you want to hold her for an extra week, she put a good score. That's when you got your Daisy Darcy's and players like that. So I'm probably holding this week just because I want to get set up for the week after. But I think a lot of people are frustrated that they might want to trade. And final team we'll go through as well with the Dogs. I would have loved to have said Ellie Blackburn. At the end of the day, we don't know if she's playing or not. Based on the injury, it didn't look great. The ankle went outwards instead of inwards, which is never good, and it's a foot injury. So, is it maybe a stress fracture or something? I don't know. Or is she fine? That's the question. So, Jaiden, could you, if she plays both games and she's named for the first game, could you bring her in?
I probably wouldn't be bringing her in. Like, the real consideration is whether you'd hold or not. If she gets managed in the game, I just can't see her playing. I feel like it looks,
I think she'll be out for a few weeks. So I don't think she'll play. So,
and you wouldn't have any confidence that she'll play the next 3 games over the next week or 2 weeks. Like, I'd probably look elsewhere. But yeah, there's probably some, like, you own her. You're probably thinking you have to trade now. But
I'll probably be going her to Bree Davey. That's probably what I'll be having to do. So
yeah.
Izzy Pritchard, I guess, is a decent option, but you did mention obviously they do play Brisbane and Collingwood, so it's not great in terms of restrictions. So Pritchard's a good option if you get to her and you could pick her. Maybe I still think I prefer the Collingwood girls and Ali Anderson, but if it was between like Pritchard and Roberts, where would you be leaning there? Would you give me a go?
Pritchard
because of Blackburn.
Pritchard because of the role. Like, this is why we didn't start with Roberts. Like, the role's just like a bit all over the place. She can be best on ground, and that's fine, but it's still a mid-forward role. Pritchard just has the perfect role. Blackburn's out, probably some points there. She's probably going to get tagged, but like, if she's probably the best on the team, so you could just try and back that in.
I don't even know if they'd worry about tagging Izzy Pritchard, just because if Blackburn's out, the Bulldogs are really decimated there. I think they'd probably just let it go and she'd be able to do her thing. So yeah, I think I'd probably. Do you still agree? You'd probably have like a Ali Anderson and Davian Benici ahead, but then maybe Pritchard probably comes in after that, and then like Roberts. Is that probably how you'd rank?
Yeah, I'm considering Pritchard as an in, but yeah, it's probably only to get a rookie off field at this point. Yeah, so agreed. She's kind of a lot cheaper. You're pretty much just picking on the role, which is all you can kind of really go off, because you are trying to predict what's going to happen in the next week. But yeah, like, you do have to be careful, because I'm guessing if you bring her in, then you just want to trade her out straight away again. So she's cheap, but she's also going to be cheap if you try and get off her. So that's something to think about.
With the 90s, though, at least that means that she'll be making cash. And it's, as you said, unlike like a Benici who dropped to 60s, drop cash, it will have a higher break even. You get a player that makes some cash, and you'll be able to flick them on the week after. Outside of that, though, like, you're not bringing Edmonds in. If you've got her, you keep her. If you don't have her, you probably trade her to an down to play O'Dowd on field. So you're not bringing her in. Like, I would like to think someone like a Dee Berry would be someone that would step in for Blackburn, but she's been poor this year and she's dropped a heap in cash. So you can't like target her. Like Georgia Stathis, like we saw, obviously 560, then a 46, and then we saw Fitzgerald scored the 60 last week. So I don't think you're targeting either of those girls either. Maybe Georgia Stathis, if that's the best you can get to from a rookie, if you want to upgrade and get a rookie off field. But I guess one that could be one is Dom Caruthers. Is that how? If I haven't,
yeah.
I hope I haven't butchered that. But yeah, is she someone that you could consider? Well, 569, she'll rise a bit in cash. She gave away 5 free kicks on the weekend, so that 55 could have been another 70. Is she someone that you might consider just going a rookie sideways and play her as M5 for 1 week?
Yeah, definitely. Like, she's very cheap. And
Carruthers is how you say it.
Yeah, and she's like playing third midfielder, and even with Blackburn out, like, she went straight up to second mid, so 92% centre bounces again. And she's had 22 tackles over the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the score was a bit low, like, just looking no marks, and also 5 frees against. So there could be a little bit of a boost just if she like gets on the board there. But yeah, it's so tough on the Dogs team to score well. But yeah, like, she could get a boost. She's quite cheap, bit of a left field option. So yeah, you could go there.
Yeah. I like a mental blank. I was like, Carruthers. I'm like, no, I heard on the commentary it's Carruthers. Like, seriously, like, my fault. Anyway, Annalise McKee, could she be someone that, if like she's got like bad last week, but would you be happy to go, like, even if it was just an Ella Smith to Annalise McKee, if that bench pounder for a week, just to maybe have that double crack at a game? Or do you think it's just a bit of a waste? If you've got her, you keep her. If you don't have her, just don't worry about it.
Well, I'm guessing she'll be back to basement price. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I guess, like, I talked about it before. Like you could just have a go and see if she's got an on-field score. But yeah, only averaging 10.5 over the last 2 weeks. It's really a graveyard role. I think, for a price and the other options we have at F5, F6, like you could just have a crack at it. But I think there might be some other ones from those teams also that are cheap. Maybe West Coast.
The other one that's basement price now after dropping in price that she got managed on the weekend, Kirsty Lee Weston Turner at 300k. Like you could even look at that for a bit of a throw at the stumps.
Yeah. So there's a few cheap options. You get maybe Ellie Gavalis comes back in to play mid. I don't know. So there's a few cheap ones there. I don't know if they're going to go amazing if they play in the forward line, but
you think if Blackburn's out, Gavalis could come in and play midfield? She was playing midfield preseason. She's all reports looking pretty good. So it sort of shocked me when she didn't play any mid in round one. Then she got dropped. So she could be someone if Blackburn was out that, I don't mind the Gavalis pick. So yeah, definitely a few things to watch on. I thought Elaine Grigg might have scored better on the weekend because she was everywhere, but she just scored the 18 points. So yeah, unfortunately, we're not looking there as well. So they're probably the double game week players. Is there anyone outside of that before we wrap up that you'd be looking at bringing in that aren't on their doubles?
Yeah, so this is it's a consideration for me because I already have 7 of them locked in. So I wanted flexibility this week to be able to set myself up. It didn't work out because they all combined for about 400 points between 7 of them. But I think the main ones are probably Sheeran because she kind of got managed through the game and played really well. And she's got Carlton this week into the double. So she's a good option to consider. She's probably going to be just under 900. So she's quite expensive. But yeah, I like her as a premium option. I'm not really sure what else because, we're still waiting on lockout. I've noticed a few things kind of filtering through, so it could be soon.
Like I've seen a few of the players that have got the 2 games next week. Some of them say, like for example, West Coast, it said some players are playing Collingwood, Brisbane. The other ones are saying Bulldogs. So it'll probably be soon.
So they must be working on it, but should be open soon. I think Sheeran is probably the one I'll consider the most. I don't know. Well, let's just have a look at what people scored last week. Brennan could be an option. She looks to be completely fine. I was a bit worried with her kind of finger injury or finger stuff she had going on. And the North Melbourne midfielders are also a consideration. They had the 3 highest break evens of the week. They were all North Melbourne: Garner, Riddell, and Bruton. And Conti as well. So they've all gone down a little bit, apart from Riddell. But so they're a consideration as well for me. You can really look anywhere because everyone's still got that double to come. If you can get premiums in and you like them as a keeper for the rest of the year, then certainly go for it because they're still going to have that double. Don't get too sucked in like I did to getting bad players in bad roles just because they have the first double. Like I'm still going to target trying to get 30 double scores over the next 4 weeks. But you don't have to just get a player on the double this week because I think this is probably one of the least relevant weeks.
It's almost preparing yourself for the other 3. So I'm looking here, there's not many downgrades. I still like Meg McDonald. I think she'll be pretty close to basement. She's got a 38, but she'll drop a bit. And that was 38 was in the wet weather. I don't know why she didn't score more than what she go. She went 6 and then 12 in the first 2 games. And she was a player that I know in I think it's first year of AFLW Fantasy. I picked her as an underpriced premium defender. So at 336k with a 12 and a 6, that was against Melbourne and North. And we know North are a tough matchup and she's got Carlton. She's got Gold Coast coming up in this next game, who we know are good for defenders so far this season. So she's someone that if I'm going to downgrade to be potentially someone like her. I still like the North mid girls like your Riddell and Garner with their double the following week. So maybe I might target one of those. Obviously, if you don't have we've mentioned Ali Anderson 4, but you've got Conti as well, who'll drop a bit in price after back-to-back 70s, but she'll have Carlton then her double. there's a lot of good options to consider. Like, even like Mia King's gone 95 and 117. So if you want to go for a bit of a pod, that's someone that's there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of options coach can consider this week in all the lines. But I think we could probably go for another 50 minutes discussing a heap of other options. But we have gone for a fair bit. So I reckon we'll probably look at wrapping up there. But I guess without price changes, Jaiden, and being able to really sort of look at trades, what I guess, what are your plans, or who are you looking at trading out? What would be some ideal targets if you can sort of bring them in?
So I had planned it a little bit. I'm looking at Noff to probably Garner or Conti. I think Riddell is quite expensive, and I kind of want to use the cash from Marinoff. So I don't know if it's probably my only chance to get Riddell, so I could do it. Probably going to do that. I think Breed will go to Fiddler, so I can set up trading out Edmonds next week. And yeah, that should give me a bit of cash to hopefully get a rookie off field. I might go for Brennan, or I might go for Sheeran. Not sure yet, but I think I need to fix the forward line because copped a donut there this week.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully Huntington's back anyway, but yeah, maybe to get cover or something. I don't know, but very frustrating when you have laid outs done there. So for me, it'll probably come down to what happens with Ellie Blackburn. I'm just assuming she's going to be out and she's not going to play. But if she was to play, I can't really trade her when she's on 2 games. And you'd imagine that she was walking after the game. It's not like she's in crutches or moon boot or anything. It would have been good for someone to have actually asked her when she was in commentary yesterday. Like, why not just ask her, how's the injury? Like, you'd think that'd be something that asked, but to help Bails out. And because I'm like probably one of the only people that own her because she's not highly owned at all. But if she's out, her to Bree Davey would be probably the trade I'd look at just to hopefully continue cash. I'd probably hold on to Marinoff in that case, just because if I don't want to trade Marinoff and Ellie Blackburn the same week. So I'd probably just go sideways like a Bree Davey. I would then go potentially like a rookie down to cash up, or even like I've looked at like a Matea Breed sideways to a Carruthers this week just to play her M5 and then upgrade her the following week by maybe if that's a Marinoff down at that point because they've got Brisbane. So maybe that could be something I consider. But a few trades there. I have thought about Hosking out. But I just think I've got a few other things I want to do instead, and I'd just prefer to keep someone on their double and trade Hosking the week after to a Sheeran or a Carney, and that would be something I'd look at. But yeah, a few options I'll play around with. It'll be better when it's all set, when Locket's lifted and we can play with our trades. Beautiful. Alrighty, well, Jaiden, I reckon that'll do us for tonight. I appreciate everyone that tuned in live for a bit of a longer one there, but live obviously because of the game start. We've got less than 48 hours before our next lockout for AFLWs. But hey, it's good. We got footy on every night. We will be going to work, and then at least there'll be something for us to look forward to when we get home with the footy on. So, Jaiden, mate, where can the people find you across socials and the website?
Yeah, you can go to the site, statsbyjaiden.com.au. I think at this rate, I probably won't get it updated tonight. I should get it all updated tomorrow. I've got a bit to work out with the break-evens, with the double games. So I'll give that a go tomorrow. So if you're hanging out for that, have a look tomorrow. Keep an eye. I'll probably post on Twitter when I've finished it all. But yeah, a bit to work out with the double games and things going on. So yeah, stay tuned for that tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Beautiful. All right, and you can find me at Bails DT across the socials. You can find Mitch at Ball Boys Fantasy, and you can find us at AFL Fans on Twitter as well. If you guys have got any other questions, apologies if we didn't get to any of your questions tonight, but if you would like to send me through a question on Q, obviously a couple of days, so if you want to get some advice on there, then head over to askmeonq, spelled qu.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, and send through all your AFLW fantasy questions as well. And if you want to get them answered right before we hit lockout on Tuesday, which the first game actually, so obviously if people that haven't been aware of, the players that played that game get locked out. They don't get locked out in the second game, locked out in the first game. So just keep that in mind when you're doing trade and stuff. So the first lockout will be 7:15 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday night. So and then Wednesday, same time there. So keep across all of that. But we'll be back on Friday. We'll be able to recap a couple of games there. We'll be live at the exact same time. So we'll be live. What's that? That'll be is it 3:30 Eastern till 4:30? So same time as last week. Chatting about an hour before the Kangaroos and Port game on Friday. There, so make sure you guys tune into that. So thanks, everyone. Have a good week ahead. Hopefully your round 3 went well, and hopefully round 4 can work out well for you. But until then, we'll catch you guys on Friday. Thanks, guys. See ya.